right, Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana
we
Tova.
can do better than that. Let's try that again. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
That's more like it. My name is Julie. I'm the Director of Education here at Beth Radom, and along with Jeremy and Cindy, our Gabby, and Mark, our President, we are so thrilled to begin 5784 all together. So I hope all of you have
I thought it was 2023.
Well, it is 2023, but in the Jewish calendar, it is 57. It is the beginning, the new year of 5784.
So that means we started counting long before everyone else did.
Exactly, that's right.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. So, we hope you all have our machzor that we'll be using today, our High Holiday Prayer Book. We're going to be reading some of it in English. When it says leader, I'll read. When it says anything else, we invite you to please join us in reading the English, and of course, any of the Hebrew, any of the singing. Please join us as you are able. So we are going to start with a special treat. We have the choir with us today, and they are going to sing their rendition of Adon Olam.
Do they know how we do Adon Olam?
I don't know if they do. We might need to show them.
It's been a while. We need to remind everyone. So it's always a mystery Adon Olam. What's it going to be? What's the tune going to be? We'll see if anybody recognizes it.
No. Probably not. Pretty obscure.
Here, let's This one's for one of my favorite foods on Rosh Hashanah, apples and honey. Adon Olam, Shem Olam, Terem Kol Yesenifra, Yeh Nasa, Vechefzo Kol Azamelet Shemo Nikra. ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה הוא אלי וחי גולי וצוח אלי בצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי מיומר קרב בידו ובקי רוחי בתשען ועירה והיא רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא יירא Shana Tova. Whoa. Apples, 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 apples. Honey, 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 honey. Shana Tova. Oh, oh, oh. Apples, 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 apples. Honey, 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 honey. Shana Tova. Oh, Umetuka. For those who don't know, the kids, let your kids tell you. Peaches, Super Mario.
I have to say, we heard this yesterday, and all of us over the age of, 9, had no idea what that was. But watching today, I watched all the kids, and all the kids' faces started lighting up as they sort of passed it around. So it was great to see.
How many of you guys knew that song? How many knew what that was? Oh, wow. There you go. See?
And if they didn't, that means they would have really, really enjoyed Carry On My Wayward Son that we finished off this afternoon with.
today's, absolutely.
All right. So, we're going to start with just a short little story. We want to think about something that happened a long time ago when the Israelites were wandering in the desert. They earned kind of this reputation for being strong and being powerful in a way that made some of the other nations a little bit nervous. Any of the nations they might encounter in kind of an unfriendly way. And so there was a nation called the Midianites, and they had a king whose name was Balak. And Balak decided that he wanted to curse the Israelites. So he called his sorcerer, Balaam, and asked him to do so. And Balaam agreed, but he warned Balak that he would only be able to say the words that God put in his mouth. So when he went to curse the Israelites, what came out of his mouth instead of a curse were words of blessing. And what were those words? Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. How lovely are your tents, Jacob, your dwelling places, Israel. So the way he blessed the Israelites was by commenting on their tents, their dwelling places. He acknowledged the sacredness of the spaces in which they gathered to work, to learn, to play, to pray, to help each other out. And the rabbis thought these were such beautiful words that they put it at the beginning of our prayer service. Whenever we get together to pray, we start by blessing this space in which we come together as a community. So we're going to begin by singing Matovu, and you can find the words on page 8 of your Machzor.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael.
All right, so everything we just did was a warm-up. That was us getting ready for what's to come. Our next prayer in the service is the Baruch Hu, and the Baruch Hu is our call to worship. It starts off with the leader singing a line and then the congregation responding. So the leader starts off with a question, and that question is, hey everybody, are you ready to pray? And our answer is, of course, yes! Love the enthusiasm. Okay, so we are going to continue with the Baruch Hu on page 18.
Ay, ay,
Please rise.
ay, ay, ay,
Please rise.
ay, ay. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, ay, ay, lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Bend your knees and give a bow. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
And we continue responsively on page 20. You may be seated. A little girl once asked her mother, "How should a person look for God?" Her mother answered, please read where it says adults, I guess. You should find God everywhere. The girl wasn't sure she understood, so she asked another question. How should a person love God? Her mother answered,
You should love God by loving everything God made. God made people, animals, flowers, rain, and thunder. Everything.
The girl still didn't understand. She asked another question. How does a person learn to love? This time, her mother answered.
You should keep your eyes and your heart open.
The Shema is the most important of all Jewish prayers. It expresses our belief that one God created the heavens and the earth and is the parent of all people.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
We continue with the Ve'ahavta, the words of which can be found on the little slip of paper. Hopefully all of you received.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך וכל נפשך וכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
And we continue in English on page 22. Once we were slaves in Egypt, and God took us out and set us free. On the way out of Egypt, the families of Israel sang a song, the Michamocha. By remembering that we were once slaves and knowing that now we are free, we are better able to understand the mitzvot.
If we remember the bitterness of slavery, we can begin to help everyone become free.
All right, everybody, I'm going to need your help. Let's get this beat going all together. Yeah, keep it going, keep it going. Mi chamocha ba'eli Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'eli Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot, It's hard. We'll do it again on Yom Kippur, so we'll practice it. We'll get better at it. It's hard.
The next thing we do is the main guts of our prayers. It's called the Amida. We stand for the Amida, but I'm not going to ask you to stand just yet. A little bit of an introduction. We do this Amida, we do it twice. We do it once silently and once aloud. And you think, well, that's a strange thing. Why on earth would we do our prayers twice? Once silent and once out loud. It makes no sense, except when you realize that our religion, Judaism, it's very, very, very old. And I mean very old. more older than the invention of the printing press. All of our books, every one of our books that we have here today was made in a printing press, a machine that automatically makes books. But just imagine for a second, if you didn't have a printing press that could automatically make books, tons of them really fast, well, how did you make a book? How do you write a book without any machines? You have to do it. How? Every book had to be written by hand. And can you just imagine if every single book had to be written by hand? Could we afford all of these books? Books were really, really precious, really special, and very, very expensive. And it used to be that the only person who would have an actual book written by hand was the person who was leading the service. So all we could do our best to pray on our own. We're supposed to pray this prayer on our own, but unless you've got it perfectly, photographically memorized in your head, it's kind of difficult. And so, all we did our best, the best way we know how to do. All of you can do your best. We do our best to read our prayers to ourselves, and then, in case we missed anything, we go back and we are led by Julie. We are led by our tefillah leaders, our prayer leaders, so that we can all make sure that we do all of our prayers, get every single one of them, whether you have a book or not. Without further ado, if you rise, you can recite your Amidah prayer silently to yourselves. It's on
Page 25.
page 25 and 26.
And also, one other thing, it's not just for people that didn't have books, but maybe you have a book, but you're too young to read. Ooh. So if you're too young to read, you can be standing and thinking about all of your good thoughts about the new year and all of the things that you want to do this year to be a great, great, great person. So you don't even have to read to be able to do tefillah.
All right, so best we can, the way we know how, we do our silent prayers. Give everybody a couple of minutes to do their silent prayers. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarat, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chareveinu b'sefer ha'chaim le'manecha Elohim echayim. On page 26, we have our Sim Shalom prayer. Please join with me in the English. Please give us peace, goodness and blessing, favor, kindness, and understanding to us and to all of Israel, your people. Blessed are you, eternal, the one who blesses your people Israel with peace. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Amecha. Everybody sing Shalom, Tova Uvracha, Heva Chesed V'Rachamim, Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Amecha. Baruch Ata Adonai, Oseh HaShalom.
On page 27, Avinu Malkeinu means God is like our parent. God is like our ruler. Let's read together. Avinu Malkeinu, we have no ruler but you.
Avinu Malkeinu, give us a new year of blessing. Avinu Malkeinu, write us in the book of good life. Avinu Malkeinu, write us in the book of forgiveness. Avinu Malkeinu, answer us. Even though we don't deserve your help, please use justice and kindness and save us. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim, Aseh imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, Aseh imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, ve'oshienu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu v'aneinu, Ki ein banu masim, Aseh imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, Aseh imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, ve'oshienu.
Okay, you can please be seated. This time of the service, this is our abbreviated service, obviously. So at this part of the service is where we take out the Torah. So we've done our introductory prayers, and we are ready, and we are going to take out the Torah and read a section from the Torah. So Julie's going to read just one of the aliyot today, but I want to ask you a question. Does anybody here, oh, I guess I need to stay by the mic. Does anybody here know how many people get called up to have an aliyah to the Torah? Aliyah means to go up. And actually in our shul, you really do go up the stairs. But going up to the Torah is also spiritually going up to the Torah. And if you've been, I know we have some post-bar and bat mitzvah kids here who have been to the Torah and have read from the Torah. But does anybody know how many people get called up to the Torah on, let's see. Well, maybe ask a different question.
I know.
Well, okay, let's do it this way. On Shabbat, how many people get called up to the Torah?
7.
7 people get called up to the Torah on Shabbat. Okay, and how many people get called up to the Torah on Rosh Hashanah?
5.
What?
5.
6.
5.
6?
5.
5.
Wait, I
5.
don't understand. Why not 7? If on Shabbat you have 7, and Shabbat happens every single week, why wouldn't you have 7 on, isn't Rosh Hashanah like the biggest holiday? Like, look at you all, everybody's here. Maybe you'll all come on Shabbat too. But we see you all here, so why would we have fewer people come up for Rosh Hashanah than come up for Shabbat?
How many times does Rosh Hashanah happen in a year?
Rosh Hashanah only happens once a year.
And how many times does Shabbat happen in a
It
year?
happens every week, so I would think something that only happens once a year would be more special than something that happens every week.
So what's the biggest, most important day in the Jewish calendar?
So what do you guys think? Does anybody have an answer?
Mark's birthday.
There you go.
Mark's birthday.
He's right.
Aaron? What do you think is the most important day? Hanukkah. Oh, very good. Actually, there are no aliyot to the Torah on Hanukkah because Hanukkah is not a holiday that we spend. I mean, we have Shabbat Hanukkah, but we don't spend Hanukkah in shul. It's not a liturgical holiday that way. What do you think? Like, what do you think is the most important holiday? You think Yom Kippur is the most important holiday. Wait a minute, so how many aliyot do we have on Yom Kippur? You said 5 on Rosh Hashanah.
6 on Yom Kippur.
Oh, 6 on Yom Kippur, but wait, 7 still on Shabbat. I think the answer is that Shabbat, you're right. Shabbat is actually the most important holiday, and it's my favorite part of Judaism is that the most important holiday happens every week because you have a chance to celebrate it every single week. You don't have to wait. So on yesterday, because it was the first day of Rosh Hashanah, fell on Shabbat. That's why we're having our family service today, because we don't blow the shofar on Shabbat, because it's Shabbat. And so we wanted to make sure everyone got to hear it. So yesterday when we read, we had 7 aliyot, because Shabbat is more important in that way. And today we only had 5 aliyot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take out the Torah. Julie's going to read just one of those aliyot to make it a little bit faster. But we need the kids to come up and have an aliyah. So when you have an aliyah, that means you get the honor of coming up and having the Torah read in front of you. You say the blessings, but if you're not old enough to say them yet, how old do you have to be? 18, 21, 25? How old do you have to be to say the blessings? Eva, you have to be over 13. You have to have your bar bat mitzvah. And so we have kids that have already had their bar bat mitzvah. Some of them are going to come up and they're going to actually read the bracha. But if you haven't had one yet, you can come up too. And that way you can see the Torah up close and personal. And you get to see the very special writing. Remember, Chazan Jeremy said there were no printing presses. So the Torah is written by hand by a very, very specially trained person called a sofer, and that's their job to actually write every single letter of the Torah. And so we don't touch it with our fingers because we don't want to mess it up. Because if it gets damaged in any way, we have to have it fixed. Otherwise, it's not a kosher Torah anymore. So we're just going to look with our eyes, but you'll be able to see that the parchment and the ink on the parchment is really almost 3D. You can kind of almost see it sticking off the page. So you don't have to come up if you don't want to, but if anybody wants to come up, after we walk around with the Torah and you get a chance to take your machzor, that's the book that's in your hand, to touch and kiss the Torah with your machzor, we will call you guys up for anybody who wants to have an aliyah. Sound good? All right. Now if I open the ark, that means that we're all going to rise. But please rise. But I want you to notice, we don't just have one Torah. There's only... Each one of those Torahs has the whole 5 books of Moses written inside it. So why do you think we need more than one? Does anyone have an idea? Oh, thank you. That's awkward. Okay. Does anybody know why we have more than one? Ooh. Who? Oh. That's a very good guess. Each Torah is for a different holiday, and actually you're on the right track here because, okay, grown-ups, who remembers Be Kind, Please Rewind? Who remembers Blockbuster? Come on, it said, be kind, please rewind. Well, the Torah is, kids, I don't know how to explain this to you, but the Torah is a scroll. And in order to get from the end of it back to the beginning or get into the middle, you have to roll and roll and roll and roll and roll.
I can help here, I can hear. This is an amazing piece of technology. It's incredible. And this is how it works. I'm going to show you all. If you want the beginning of the book, it's here. Here's the beginning of the book. Now, if you want the end of the book, boom! There it is, right there. Yeah, boom, right there. It's really, really super fast.
But in the Torah...
But this is a new invention. The Torah is a lot older than even a book where you can go from the beginning to the end right away. They didn't invent this until much, much later. Before, in order to get from the beginning of the story to the end of it, you had to go through every single page until you finally get to the end. That's how a scroll works.
Right, so when we have our service, for example, this morning, we read from 2 different parts of the Torah. So to save people from having to sit there while we roll and roll and roll and roll, what our Rabbi Mark, who's turned around right now, does every week before he comes to shul, he rolls the Torah to the right spot so that we can actually read it. So that's why we have so many Torahs in there, and they're wearing their beautiful white covers because white is for high holidays. All right, I don't want to lose anybody here. Okay, so are you going to sing?
Sure, let's do this.
Okay.
ויהי בנשוא אהרון, ויאמר משה, קומה אדוני, ויפוצו אויביך, וינוסו משנאיך מפניך, כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני.
Please stay standing while the Torah is standing, everybody. Once the Torah sits down, then you can sit down.
Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato, Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech apayim, Rav chesed ve'emet, Notzer chesed l'anafim, Nose avon v'afesha, V'charta v'nakeh, Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech apayim, Rav chesed ve'emet, Notzer chesed l'anafim, Nose avon v'afesha, V'charta v'nakeh, Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Erech apayim, Rav chesed ve'emet, Notzer chesed l'anafim, Nose avon v'afesha, V'charta v'nakeh. V'ani tefilati, tefilati, Lecha Adonai, Eratzon, Elohim, Ve'rom Chasedecha, Haneini, Haneini, Ve'emet Yishecha, V'ani tefilati, tefilati, Lecha Adonai, Eratzon, Elohim, Ve'rom Chasedecha, Haneini, Haneini, Ve'emet Yishecha.
So as
Ay, la 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 la, ay, la 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 la, ay, la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la, ya la 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 ya la, ya la 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 ya la, ya la 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 la. You may be seated.
All right, so have a seat, and I'm going to ask anybody who wants to come on up, just come right up. Just come right up. Anybody who is post-bar bar mitzvah, you can help hold the. No, come up, come up. Don't you dare be shy now. I'll come and get you.
Can I get my glasses? Or
Come
you
on
want me to
up.
run? Just get my
Come on
glasses.
up so you can see. Sure. Come on up. Gather around. Go behind you. We go all
Where are you?
around. On the other side. Come all around. Beautiful, beautiful. Come all around, everybody. One spot gets out of the way, you'll be able to see it better. So tall.
Here.
Okay. Now, let me get over here.
Hey, you're good. I'm gonna step back.
Can you guys see? Can you let the smaller guys go in front of you?
Get out of your way. You guys
So can everybody see? You can crowd. This is where we're going to start reading today.
All right, come
And
around.
do you see that I've got this special pointer? It's called a yad. And yad in Hebrew means hand. Take a look at this pointer. Why do you think it's called a hand? What's at the end of this pointer?
Basically, there's a hand at the end of that pointer because we don't want to use our hands to get the Torah dirty. That's why we use this.
So
We use
Arya said it perfectly. Could not have said it better myself. There is a hand with a pointer finger sticking out at the end of our pointer because we all need a little help keeping our place when we're reading sometimes, right? But we don't want to use our actual finger because we don't want the oils from our skin to get on this parchment and mess up the ink and the letters. So we use this pointer to help us keep track of where we are.
All right, so I've asked Michaela, she's going to represent all of the post-bar and bat mitzvah kids to do the bracha. I said I would want to do it together. Sure. You want to do it by yourself? Okay, go for it. All right, let her in here, guys, so she can, oh, here. There you go. She's going to say one part and we're going to answer her.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bracha banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vadonai, pakad et zara ka'asher amar, vayas Adonai, lesara ka'asher diber, vatar vateled Sarah, Lavraham, ben lizkunav, Lemoed, asher diber oto Elohim, vayikra Avraham, et shem beno hanolad lo, asher yalda lo Sarah Yitzchak, vayamal Avraham et Yitzchak beno, ben shmonat yamim, Kasher Tzivaoto Elohim.
Okay, Michaela's going to read the last blessing.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We say Yasher Koach. We say Yasher Koach. We say Yasher Koach to all of you. Beautiful job. You can all go back to your seats now.
Great question. What does Yasher Koach mean? Yashar means straight, and Koach means strength. So it's like, go forth in strength. It's our way of saying, good job.
Because strength should never be curvy.
Because they say that when you have an honor, you've used some of your strength up. And so we say Yasher Koach to rebuild that strength in you a little bit so you can keep on going. Beautiful job. Okay, so I think we are we going to return the Torah to the ark right now, or maybe? Okay, perfect. Okay. So, yeah. Do you want to cuss?
Can you do a quick hug
Cuss,
for
could
us?
you do a hugba?
Yeah, sure.
So all the parents that didn't get a chance to see.
So now before we put the Torah away, what we do is we lift the Torah. So everyone, I'm going to ask everyone to rise, please. We lift the Torah and we sing V'zot HaTorah, and this is the Torah. V'zot HaTorah, Asher Sa Moshe. And so we're going to put our little pinky up to kind of like give a symbolic kiss to the Torah. And
Ready?
this isn't an easy job, so.
V'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Lai 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 Hashiveinu Hashem Elecha v'nashuva חדש ימינו כקדם. השיבנו השם אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם.
And we're going to return directly to the ark.
עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם.
Please be seated.
In a town a lot like ours, in a synagogue a lot like ours, there was a girl who was a lot like us. And her name was Sarah. Now, Sarah loved to go to services. She loved hearing all the music, she loved getting to see all her synagogue friends, and she loved getting a chance to talk to God. But Sarah had a problem. You see, Sarah didn't know how to read Hebrew. She couldn't recognize all the letters, and she didn't know what all those dots and lines around the letters meant. And so she couldn't sing all the words that people were singing and say all the words that people were praying. And this made Sarah really sad. She thought to herself, there are words to God I want to say. I need to learn how to pray. So Sarah decided to go on a mission to learn how to pray. So she started with her father. She said, Dad, can we go on a trip? And he thought that was a great idea because he loved having some father-daughter bonding time. So they went on a trip across Canada to British Columbia where the Rocky Mountains are. And they put on their best hiking shoes and they climbed all the way up to the top of the mountain. And at the top of the mountain, they looked around and it was the most beautiful view they had ever seen. And Sarah thought, wow, I should definitely be able to figure out how to talk to God here. But then it started raining. And it rained so hard, Sarah's clothes got completely soaked through. And she was wet, and she was cold, and she was miserable. And she thought, this is not gonna work. I need a new idea. There are words to God I want to say. I need to learn how to pray. So she thought, okay, the top of the mountain didn't work because she was miserable. Maybe she needs someplace fun. So she went to her stepmother and she asked if they could go see a hockey game. And her stepmother thought that was a great idea. So they got tickets and they went down to the Air Canada Centre, which is presumably now called the Scotiabank Arena, but in my head it'll still always be the Air Canada Centre, so if you'll indulge me, that's just what we're gonna call it today. So they went down to the ACC and they watched a Leafs game. And the energy in the arena was amazing. The players on the ice were playing this game that they loved, and all the fans were cheering on their favorite team, and it was so much fun. But Sarah had a problem. The noise in the arena was so loud that she couldn't think. And she wasn't focused on God, she was focused on the game that was happening on the ice in front of her. So Sarah thought, this is not gonna work. I need a new idea. There are words to God I want to say. I need to learn how to pray. You got it. So Sarah figured, okay, the ACC was too noisy. Maybe she needed someplace quiet. So she thought, okay, what is the quietest place I can think of? And she thought, aha, underwater. Underwater, it's really, really quiet. So she went to her brother, because her brother loved swimming as much as she did. And so she asked her brother if they could go snorkeling. And her brother thought that was a great idea. So they got in their car and they drove out to the ocean. And they put on their flippers that helped them swim really well, and they put on their goggles so that they could see underwater, and they put that tube in their mouth that helps them breathe, and they went snorkeling. And they saw fish that were so many different colors and all kinds of underwater plants, and it was peaceful and it was quiet. But Sarah had a problem. Because with that tube in her mouth, she couldn't actually talk. And she needed her hands and her feet for swimming, so she couldn't really express herself, because we all know that you need your hands to talk, right? So she thought, okay, this is not going to work. I need a new idea. There are words to God I want to say. I need to learn how to. So she thought, okay, so maybe I need something that I can do with my hands. And she thought about all the artwork that she had ever seen. Beautiful paintings that expressed all different kinds of ideas. So she went to her sister, because her sister was an amazing painter. And she asked her sister if she could teach her how to paint. And her sister thought that was a great idea. So together they brought out lots of different paints and paintbrushes and easels and canvases, and they started to paint. And they had so much fun together. But Sarah had a problem. She wanted to paint with purple, so she mixed some red and she mixed some blue, but it came out looking kind of brown. And she wanted to paint a person, but it came out looking kind of like a clown. And she realized that what she's painting on this canvas is not really what she wants to express. So she thought, okay, this is not going to work. I need a new idea. There are words to God I want to say it with me. I need to learn how to pray. So she figured it out. Painting did not work for her because she was simply not as talented a painter as her sister. So she thought, okay, what is it that I'm good at? What is it that when I put my heart and soul into it, something beautiful comes out? And she thought, aha, I'm a musician. When I play an instrument and I put my everything into it, something really beautiful comes out, something that feels like me. And she figured that's how she can talk to God. She can talk to God through her music. So she tried to find an instrument that would work. She tried out the tuba, that big brass instrument that makes a really, really deep sound. And that didn't feel right. She tried a xylophone, that percussion instrument with all the metal keys, and you hit them with a stick and it goes ding, 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 ding. That didn't feel right either. And then she realized Rosh Hashanah is coming up. And on Rosh Hashanah, there's an instrument that we play that helps us say, I'm sorry, and helps us think about all the ways that we can do better next year. And what's that instrument? The shofar, of course. So she asked around at her synagogue and found somebody who could lend her a shofar, and she practiced constantly. She practiced in the morning when she woke up, and in the afternoon when she got home from school, and in the evening before she went to bed, and pretty soon she was an amazing shofar player. Soon it was time for Rosh Hashanah, and she went with her family to services. But pretty soon that frustrated feeling came back. She couldn't sing the words that people were singing, and she couldn't say the words that people were praying. Eventually it was time for the Shema, and everybody closed or covered their eyes, and they quietly said the words. And Sarah really wanted to be a part of that moment. So she pulled out her shofar, and she let out a mighty blast. And as I'm sure you can imagine, everybody all around the sanctuary went, and they got so upset. They said, Sarah, how can you do that? This is a Rosh Hashanah service. This is a serious time. The rabbi came down from the bima and said, hold on. We all pray using the words in our machzor. And some of us think about the words that we're saying and feel the words that we're saying, and some of us don't. But Sarah's prayer is so special because we know that it comes from her heart. Shana Tova.
Perfect segue.
Intentional. Okay. So now it's time to hear that shofar sound. And we are going to turn to page 34 to do that.
Everybody would stand up so we can hear. Blessings.
If everybody could please rise.
Are the blessings in it?
We're going to start in English on page 34. Today is the birthday of the world. Today all people stand before God. Some stand as children stand before their parent, and some stand as subject before a king or queen. God, if we are standing like children, then please be a kind parent. God, if we are standing like subjects, please be a fair ruler. We look to you for help. You are our holy God. Let's read all together. The voice of the shofar calls to us.
Wake up from your sleep. You are asleep. Get up from your slumber. You are in a deep sleep. Search your behavior. Become the best person you can. Remember God, the one who created you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו, הגיענו לזמן הזה.
Amen.
Tekiah. Shavarim Teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shavarim Teruah. Shavarim Teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah Gedolah.
Ready for this?
Try not to cover your ears. It's a big noise. No clapping. Just say Yasher Koach.
Okay, please be seated.
May be seated.
We're almost done, guys. Almost done.
Chazan, that was pretty good. I don't know. That was like, so Chazan, we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah 100 times. So he already blew the shofar 100 times this morning service, and he just gave you another 10 or 12. So
They ask me how I do it. The answer is, well, hot air is hot air.
So our service is coming to an end. Thank you all for joining us. This is your synagogue. And whether you're a member or not, whether it's been your first time here or not, you're welcome to join us anytime you want. If you want to become a member, you're more than welcome. I'm not going to stand here and try and take your money because that's not what we do here. You're welcome to join us for any services and all services. And when membership feels like it's the right time, it'll be the right time and you'll join us. So I'll just point out there's a newsletter that if you don't see there's someone left on the chairs from this morning's service, you will receive one on your way out. And there's lots of information about all the things that we're offering over the next several weeks. We have our Sukkot party. We're launching a family Shabbat program on the first Shabbat of every month, a family-friendly service, a kid-friendly service with a kid-friendly Kiddush probably going to be mac and cheese there, guys. I'm just saying, you know. We also celebrate the birthdays of the congregation the very first Shabbat of the month as well. So if you have a birthday, you can come and celebrate your birthday with Beth Radom as well.
If you don't have a birthday, you get birthday.
And if you don't have a birthday, you still get birthday cake. And you get to celebrate whoever's birthday it is that day. So on your way out, there's a little gift for all of you. Everyone gets their own shofar. How exciting is that? But it comes with a very important instruction.
Listen.
When you come back next week for Yom Kippur on Monday, make sure you bring your shofar with you, because Chazan, after fasting all day and blowing shofar, he's going to be so tired and he's going to need some help from all you guys. So please bring your shofarot with you when you come back, and we can all do it together. It'll be beautiful.
And all the parents are going to thank us for including that in the thing.
And sorry, yeah, it's only for a few minutes, don't worry. And when we conclude our service here, we're going to do our Tashlik service.
One more sec.
Han, can you want to explain to the kids really quick what Tashlik is?
Oh, Tashlik.
Go to the mic.
So
Take a
we're
mic.
going to go after finished here. Also usually done on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, but it was Shabbat yesterday, so we didn't do it. We're going to be meeting in the parking lot. We walk across the street through Earl Bales down the hill and go to the river. And we take some little pieces of bread, sometimes it's just like the crumbs that are in your pocket, and we toss them into the river. It has to be a moving body of water because it gets taken away, it gets pulled away from us. These are all these things that we want to get rid of, any bad habits or bad ideas or things that we want to change about ourselves. We throw them into the water and they get taken away and we have a fresh start for a new year. So you are welcome to join us if you want to come with us, and we have our own crumbs. So if you didn't bring your own, we have for you.
So Shana Tova once again, and Julie's going to wrap it up for you when you're ready, Julie.
All right, we are going to sing one of my favorite songs ever. And so what is your favorite part about Rosh Hashanah? Yeah, what's your favorite part? You have to think about it. Anybody have a favorite part about Rosh Hashanah? Here, yell it out. Let's hear them. Apples and honey, matzo ball soup. How many of you love what we just heard? How many find the shofar the favorite part of of Rosh Hashanah? So we are going to sing a song that helps us become a shofar. So the chorus sounds like this. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Let's try it all together. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Okay, here's the best part. Here's where we all get to be shofars and make that really big shofar sound. So everybody get out your shofars. Imagine you're holding your own shofar. And let's make the shofar sound. Repeat after me. Tekiah. Your turn. Tekiah. Let's sing. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast.
I like to hear the
Shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Shavarim. Your turn. Shavarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Let's sing. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Teruah, Teruah, Shavarim, Shavarim, Tekiah, Tekiah. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Okay, here's the really big one, the Tekiah Gedolah. Everybody take a big deep breath. Tekiah Gedolah. Teruah, Saru. Shavarim. Shavarim. Tekiya. Tekiya. I like to hear the shofar blast. Sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy new. One more time. I like to hear the shofar blast. Sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy new year. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, everybody.
Sweet and happy new year.
Make sure you get your gift bags on the way out.
You can leave the muffsores on the chairs, everybody. Thank you.
You can leave your muxors on the chairs, guys. We'll clean them up for you, not to worry. Shana Tova, everybody.